James. I am 27 years old and I'm from the US. Lived there for most of my life, and then now I'm currently living in Albania.
My name is Martin. I'm 28. I'm from Bulgaria and I'm currently living in Germany, and to be more exact, Nuremberg.
My name's Cameron. I'm 24, from Brighton in England, and now living in Valencia, Spain.
And this is the Expat Show.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Expat Show. My name is Cameron Clark. I am joined here today with James and Martin. How are you both doing today, guys?
Doing well.
Same on my side.
On my side. Very good, very good. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about reasons why you might want to become a expat. What do we think about that?
I mean, if we sat here long enough, I'm sure the reasons would just flow out of
Keep
us.
coming
Yeah,
and
for sure. I mean, I was thinking about this. I was thinking if I have more reasons to be or not to be, and like in my mind, I mean, I've only been at this for like a year, but in my mind, like the reasons to be an expat vastly outweigh the reasons not to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in general, the planet is way too small now, so...
Yeah, so let's just go to like Mars or something.
Yeah, I mean, you can get on the other side of the planet for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
So it's not like 100 years ago where you needed 12 hours to visit the next country or something.
Or like the next city.
Physically, it's not smaller, but we can certainly make it feel smaller with the transport, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. Which you know, all in all, obviously makes it easier to be an expat. Everything makes it easier to be an expat. You know?
Yeah. And flights are getting cheaper and cheaper, and people like Elon Musk taking his rockets. Have you seen that he's trying to take rockets for like into low Earth orbit and then land in another city? I think that's pretty crazy.
That doesn't surprise me.
Crazy future. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, and just all of the technology stuff, like, you know, I can be living here in Albania and still keep up conversations with people living, you know, in Hawaii, which is like a 12-hour time difference. And like, obviously the texts or the phone calls are like, you know, at strange times, but...
Yeah, I mean, this podcast is an example
tucking up for
that.
bed while you're having breakfast.
Yeah.
Very good. And any exciting things happening out in your countries? I mean, it's getting a little bit cooler out here in Spain, thankfully.
Yeah.
Even though I still feel like I'm sitting in a puddle right now, but there we are. And what about in Germany? Anything exciting happening there?
Actually, I just found out that like e-scooters and boosted boards and all of that is legal now in Germany.
Oh, interesting.
It wasn't legal. Like, I mean, I'm a bit of like an internet explorer in this situation because I think it got legal like with the beginning of the year. So it took me 8 months to find this information out. Anyways, the weird thing here is that if the scooter or the boosted board can go more than 20 kilometers per hour, you have to have like an insurance license plate or something on it. Like, what the...
I think it makes sense. I mean, here in Spain, there's lots of public electric scooters. Lots of people are riding electric bikes. So, some of them are literally bigger than the mopeds, and they're riding on the pavement or as a sidewalk, as you would know it, James, and literally going like 40 kilometers an hour. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like,
yeah, I mean, for scooters, I understand, but like a boosted board, come on.
This is funny because, I mean, people ride their scooters everywhere here, and a boosted board, you couldn't go 10 meters with it because there are potholes in the roads and sidewalks are so big. I mean, yeah. My bike is falling apart just riding it around, so I can't imagine what a skateboard would do, especially an electric one.
Still, I mean, I wouldn't pay additional insurance for a skateboard. I might as well just ride a normal skateboard.
Definitely not.
I'm already paying like so many insurances. I don't know. Actually, I must have forgotten half of them what they're for.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with insurance, though. It's a pain until you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, my experience is usually it's a pain after you need it as well because they don't want to pay.
But would you say that all of this growth in the electric commute vehicles, do you feel that is making cities more accessible? And would you say that is possibly one thing that would make someone want to move to a city because maybe they didn't want to go before because it was such a pain to get around, but now this growth of electronic commuter vehicles is growing, maybe people will be like, I can move there.
Definitely. Like here in Nuremberg, I don't go that often to the center because I drive a truck and it's hard to find a parking space. And if I had like a boosted board or something, I could get there like in 15 minutes. It would be awesome.
Would you think it would make a difference in Albania if there was more electronic commuting vehicles?
No, not even a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't, like I said, like the only electronic vehicle that I've seen, maybe like a electric bike. I've seen a few of those, but one wheel would be basically the only thing that would work here because of the sidewalks and the roads and everything. You never know when it's going to just switch to gravel or potholes or bricks or. I mean, yesterday I was leaving my house, trying to drive out of my house, and they're like torn up. And I live right next to the hospital, so the road to my house is the same road that goes to the hospital. And they'd torn up the road going to the hospital where my car almost didn't fit. I was like, what are you expecting to happen when an ambulance needs to get through here? And they're just like laying wires or pipes or something, and they're just like, and then they tear it up, and instead of like pouring asphalt or pavement or concrete or something, they just put sand and rocks and then put bricks on it. So as soon as it rains, all of that settles and everything becomes uneven. And so any sort of longboard or skateboard is almost unusable.
You're sure you're not in Bulgaria?
Yeah, in Spain, the road conditions are actually surprisingly really good. The street outside my house recently got repaved, and honestly, I don't know why. To me, it looked absolutely fine, but they decided to rip it up, relay everything, and yeah.
Yeah, they do that. They do that about once a summer here. They pick a section of pavement to tear up, but you know the unfortunate thing is that the population of this city increases dramatically over the summertime, and so they just decide to do it when all the traffic. I mean, that's always how it is. They always do it when the traffic is the worst, and they decide to tear up roads and stuff.
I think that's the same.
Do you think they do that on
here in
purpose?
Germany? Is
I mean, I'm sure they have to realize that it's. But I don't know why they. What reason would you have to do that?
Yeah, it's true. What were you going to say there, Martin? Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, they're gonna do it like that everywhere, anyways, because of the good weather. Like here in Germany, as soon as you get like dry above 6 degrees weather, you see everywhere constructions, and this goes on the entire summer.
Yeah.
Like
And
just
that's
Nuremberg
one
had
thing.
like a budget of 50 million euros or something like that for road construction this year.
Wow. I can't even.
Pretty good.
I can't even like fathom that amount of money.
Yeah, with that amount of money, I think we can fix all the roads in Albania.
If you can get anyone to actually do the work, though, is the problem.
I'm actually going to Madagascar in just over a month, and I've heard there that there is only one paved road, and the rest of them are dirt. So that should be pretty fun. That should be pretty fun.
Yeah,
It'll remind me of England.
Yeah.
Potholes everywhere. Roadworks aside, let's talk about why people would want to become an expat, because I'm sure they don't want to see the roadworks in their chosen country. So what we all decided to do is we've got a little list that we wrote together, one or together separately, about the reasons why we think other people would want to become an expat. We haven't shared these ones. We're going in completely blind, so I will probably kick it off, and we'll see if anyone else had the same idea as me, and we'll just talk about it like that. So, can I kick it off? And the first reason that I had for why someone would want to be an expat, it's probably a little bit generic, eases into it, is the adventure. Because it is an adventure.
Yeah, but that's so broad. I think you should narrow it down a little bit more than that.
Give me an example of how I could narrow that down.
Well,
For example, experiencing something new.
Yeah, exactly. So I had it. Like my first thing was experiencing life, like living life to the fullest, sort of thing. And in my, how do I say this? I grew up in a small town, and it was nice. It was fine, whatever. And I have friends that chose to live there because they loved it. That's great. But for me personally, I wouldn't feel like I was fully getting a full life experience if I stayed in that small town. Now, obviously, you don't have to move to another country to do that, but I feel like it's similar to that sort of thing. So if you spend your entire life in one particular country, I think that your life experience becomes more narrow. And that's not, obviously a huge generalization, but I think overall it's relatively true. Where if you don't,
can I add something here? Like,
yeah.
So this is not only about just traveling, because, for example, my experience with Germany when I went on business trips and living in Germany are like two totally different things.
Right. Right, and I mean, like really experiencing. I mean, I've traveled to a lot of different countries and don't feel like I know very many of them very well, or the people or anything, or the way of life at all. Until now living in Albania, I feel like I have a handle on it a little bit better. So adventure is great, but the adventure could be,
narrowed down a lot more.
Yeah, because that you could also be like trying different food, and that could be an adventure. So I feel like by saying adventure, Cameron, you're kind of just like lumping everything into one.
You caught me out.
I
was trying to get away with it, and you called me out, James.
I mean, we all agreed that we'd come up with as many as like 5 or so, and I could only think of 3, and I didn't use any that broad. So I'm interested to hear what your other 4 were. If your first one was just as broad as adventure.
Well, funny enough, we've already touched on my second idea, and
Food.
I did put down expanding your cultural experience. And I wrote myself a little little sentence. So what I mean by the cultural experience is maybe in Britain, where it's a bit more cold, the people and the attitudes are a bit more hostile, they're a bit more colder, they're a bit more brisk people. Whereas here in Spain, the culture of the people, where it's so warm, they're such more warm people, just even when you're just meeting your friends or someone you've never met before, just giving them a kiss on each cheek, things like that, which I think is a cultural experience that you can only get not living in your own country. And I think that's one reason why people would want to be an expat, to experience that.
I had that as my second one also, is understanding other cultures, and I think that every person and every culture has something to bring to the world, and the more you learn about and understand other people and other cultures, the more you can kind of figure out how the world works. And so, I don't know, culture is one of the things that drives me to travel more. And then when I go to countries that are so similar in culture, it's a little...
It's kind of like you're not on holiday or something, you're not experiencing it as new.
I mean, even in Albania, I walk into a shopping center, and it has the cultural feel of any mall or shopping center in the U.S. or Germany or the U.K. or probably Spain. Like any major shopping center is going to feel this way, and I don't like that, because I didn't move to Albania to have
the same experience,
Yeah.
the same shops, the same foods. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally get you there. What are your thoughts on that, Martin, about experiencing the culture?
Yeah, I mean, my views are a bit different on that. Like, it's a good thing to experience the culture, and I leave this more for like the vacation part, when I visit a country, just to try local cuisine, see how they party or something like that and stuff. Doesn't interest me that much for the country in which I live. I mean, I'm gonna learn some things anyways, whether I want to or not.
So would you pick a country to go on vacation to based on the culture?
Yeah, definitely.
But that wouldn't really have anything to do with you choosing to move and live in a country.
I mean, it might have after I've learned about the culture and I say, okay, like for example, for Spain, like Cameron said, like they're really warm people and they do this and this, but I already know that because I visited Spain and I've seen it, and
Right.
this might be a reason for me to move there after that.
Ah, okay. So you're not. So, okay, I understand.
Yeah, I got you. So, what you're saying, Martin, is to experience the culture or to make the decision that you'd want to move there, you would want to have a vacation first to sort of test the waters, dip your toe in a little bit, and test to see if it's cold or warm. Yeah.
I rarely do decisions based on too many unknowns. I like to know as much as possible before I make the decision.
Wow, you and I are very different people.
That's why you're in Eastern Europe and I left Eastern Europe.
Hey, but I visited Eastern Europe first, so that's good, right? I visited before I moved here. I had moved other places without visiting before, so that was
Well,
different experience.
technically, me moving in Nuremberg can be considered moving somewhere where I haven't visited.
Because you hadn't been to Nuremberg.
Yeah, the only time
Specifically?
I was in Nuremberg was an emergency landing, and I didn't get off the plane until we
Yeah.
took off again.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
But I think
What?
I think culture is such a big part of like what makes things different, and so if you aren't like diving into cultures of countries that you're moving to, then I mean obviously I guess by the literal definition you're still living as an expat, but I would almost argue that that's not even the same thing, you know. But again, it's difficult because different cultures, or you can have similar cultures in different places. So, you know, I visited South Africa, and the culture of where I was in South Africa was not identical, but similar to that in the U.S. And so I can't say like, oh yeah, living in South Africa wouldn't make me an expat, but because it obviously would. But I don't know. I feel like going somewhere and not trying to seek out that sort of experience. And I guess Martin's right, whether it's vacation, you know, it could be the same thing anyways, but without seeking out that experience, you're not getting the full meaning of living as an expat.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I got this experience prior to moving here because I spent like half a year on business trips, and I've had like a lot of weekends here in Germany alone to explore and travel around.
Okay, so
Right.
you got eased into it. For me, into Spain, I visited here twice, and obviously where my girlfriend is Spanish, I got introduced to the culture and the Spanish people that way, meeting her friends, her family. So I kind of got like a insider's view because I had already that friendship group in inverted commas already established, so they made me feel a lot more warm and welcome. So I think that part of the culture where they just like especially in Spain where they make you part of their friendship group almost straight away was one big reason. Even before I moved here or made a decision, just knowing that the people out there were going to be my friends, I think that was a big driving factor for me to become an expat.
Right,
So,
right. And like when I moved to Albania, I knew that I was going to be working with people, and so like I didn't come just kind of on a whim. And so I knew, you know, I'm going to be around people. There's a good chance that I'll make friends with these people, but you know, obviously that's not always true. But it wasn't like I just packed a backpack and hopped on a plane and landed at the airport without having any idea what I'm going to say.
yeah, but I think some people would want to do that as well. You know, flip it on their head, just completely change their life, just pack their bags and go, and maybe that's the driving factor where they don't know anything about it, and that's the experience that they want.
I mean, the crazy thing is actually
Just
this
the
is
unknown.
this is what I've done, but somehow I always manage to find a Bulgarian that knows a Bulgarian that knows a Bulgarian that lives where I'm going. It's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
6 degrees of separation, I think it's called.
And when you're
Where you,
and when you're from a Balkan country, it's probably 3.
Yeah, pretty much. I think 3 is the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows everyone. All right, I think we've hit experience pretty hard in the head. Who else wants to pop in with something on their list? Martin, you got anything why someone would want to be an expat?
Yeah, I'm gonna go more into the logical aspect of things, not so emotional.
Of course, engineers for you, logical minds.
Yeah.
Logical
Yeah,
talking.
yeah, boring code engineers. Well, for example, one of the reasons for me was to further develop my career. I was working in the automotive industry, and Germany is the automotive mecca of Europe. So this was one of the reasons to come
Nice.
here.
So you moved to expand your career. I had something similar on my list. I had maybe people are forced to leave for work, like maybe they kind of have to become an expat for that work. So I had something quite similar there. What about you, James? You have anything?
I mean, I didn't have anything like that written, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, from what I can tell, a lot of the people that leave Albania and live as Albanian expats in other countries are going so that they can make money and send it back to family here.
Yeah,
So
that's the general reason
Yeah.
for Eastern Europeans to move, like more money, and this is just a part of my reason. Like, I sat down and thought about it. Like, that doesn't matter in which country I go to work in the automotive industry, I would end up flying constantly to Germany anyways.
right.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
then might as well move there directly.
Yeah, but I think the furthering career is another, potential part of that. I mean, as backwards as it may sound, like I moved to Albania to help further my career also, like specifically like potential social media and YouTube career stuff. And then obviously it was, got offered a job that I knew that I would enjoy in a place that I had already been and I already liked. But, ultimately it boiled down to like, I think that this is a good step to, the end goals that I want for my life. And so it was part of my reasoning was in order to further my career.
So more of your personal career than the normal careers. Like, so you moved there to develop yourself, other than the I don't know the word for it. It's completely lost it. But the working for the man, you're going there to further yourself, not the man.
Yeah, I mean, it was all one and the same to me because my 9 to 5 fits right into, I developed skills in my 9 to 5 that I use in the rest of my rest of
your life.
yeah, my
And
career stuff.
you can use it.
Like I tell people that I'm working, and I could be like watching somebody's YouTube video, or just filming a YouTube video, or researching to film a YouTube, and I just like consider it all work, whether I'm sitting in my office or not.
Yeah, it's a very fortunate position to be in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. I love it. But yeah, it was definitely not like. I think most of the decisions I've made over the last few years have been for personal development more so than or bare necessity, more so than just furthering something for the man like you were referring to.
Yeah. I find myself in a very similar position. When I first came out to Spain, I obviously started my YouTube channel. We're doing this podcast now, and it's all things that I thought here maybe it's a little bit more interesting than making videos in England, because to me in England it's all grey, it's nothing new, it's nothing exciting, so I don't have that motivation to create. But here in Spain I do have that, so I can totally feel where you're coming from. Unfortunately, I'm not in as lucky position as you, where you can do what you enjoy doing outside of work and still call it work when you are getting paid to do it by the man.
Minimally.
Well,
minimally.
someone is getting
Yeah.
paid from the three of us for doing it outside of work.
Soon to be, yes. If you guys don't follow James on YouTube, he just hit 10,000 subscribers and 1 million views, so congratulations to him. definitely go and check out his channel.
And by the time this podcast is out, he
nice
might have reached 20k subs or something like that.
I hope
Let
this
us know in
doesn't
the
take.
comments.
I hope this doesn't take me a year or more to edit this podcast.
Dude, you might wake up tomorrow and be on 20k. Who knows? Who knows? Let us know down in the comments what James's subscriber count is when you hear this episode. Yeah, my YouTube channel myself is youtube.com/Cameron Clark Spain. Not nearly as large as James just yet. Got myself a few lovely subscribers. Haven't posted in a while since I got my 9 to 5, but you can subscribe because I will be releasing more videos soon. I've got many projects in the work. And what about yourself, Martin? What's your channel? Where can they find you?
YouTube.com/Martin Ivanov. I just returned from a short break, so I'm trying to post as often as possible. And
Very good, very good. Any other socials that you guys want to say? I don't really use Instagram or Twitter myself, but if you do want to follow me there, it's @Cam Clark Spain. That's CLARK, no E, Spain, @Cam Clark Spain.
I mean, all of my Instagrams.
how many do you have?
I only own 2 Instagrams. Wait, no, 3. But I run multiple. But all of my personal socials are just at James Lightheart, LEITHART.
Yeah, except like I think YouTube and Facebook, everything else is Martu Ivanov 91.
Okie dokie, lovely. All right, back into it. James, you wanna share something on your list? I don't know if we've heard one of yours since you stole my adventure. It was my experience.
I didn't steal it. You said it. I just expounded on it. I made it better.
Oh, sorry.
I think the one that I have that maybe we haven't really talked about, the only one left that I have that we haven't talked about is to like push your limits and to get outside your comfort zone. For me personally, when things get too comfortable, when life is too easy, that's when I start getting uncomfortable. And so I knew that by moving to the Balkans, moving to a country that I didn't speak the language, I would be uncomfortable almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, you definitely found a place for that.
Yes. And when you're uncomfortable, that's where you grow. And so in order for me to be able to grow, like as a person, I felt like I needed to be in a place that I was going to be relatively uncomfortable. So expanding your comfort zone, seeking discomfort, as certain large YouTubers say.
Actually, I totally agree with you. Like when I see the Germans here, like the system has made them pretty soft, and I the only thing I can imagine is how they would react if they lived in Bulgaria, for example. They would go completely nuts.
Yeah.
I think like this should be a common exchange program, sending people from the West to Eastern Europe or the Middle East just to like toughen them up a little bit.
I mean, there are a number of Germans that come through my organization that I work at, and I mean, I'm not going to go into specifics because obviously, but a lot of them, the general consensus seems to like kind of be like surprise and like, well, why don't you do things this way? And it's like, well, that's not how things work here. If we were in Germany, yeah, things would work that way, you know, but this is Albania, this is the Balkans,
Yeah.
like things are not as straightforward as they are in Germany.
God,
Yeah.
don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, but things are not
exactly.
straightforward here.
Yeah, well, you know the difference. So,
Yeah, you would know. And I think you're definitely right, expanding that experience of your life and getting out of the comfort zone, because even here in Spain, I love it, but I get the same metro every morning to work at the same time, and there's always 2 or 3 people that are always getting the same metro as me, you know, and it's like I sit there and I watch them as maybe the only foreigner on the platform, because I'm in a relatively just Spanish little town, but yeah, just the only foreign person, and you just see them, and when I'm there, it almost feels like oh, I was just here, but it was yesterday, because they're doing the same things that they were doing yesterday. They're just sitting there on their phones, sitting on the same bench, wearing pretty much the same clothes. And it's just like, it's almost like they're on repeat. They're not breaking the cycle. They're not doing anything. So I think for sure, moving abroad, moving overseas, like it gave me that, because I found myself in the routine of doing the same things every single day.
Do you feel like
you know?
you're on a routine even though you live in Spain, or do you feel like you have that level of uncomfortableness every day that it's sufficient?
I mean, for the 9 to 5, getting on the metro and like going to work, doing that routine, because it's a rota and it's something I have to follow, that's starting to feel more and more routine. And maybe where I'm seeing these other people that are getting on the metro with me at the same times, same days, maybe that's making it feel more like a routine, because I'm seeing the same faces. So, but even still, there's things that within that it still sort of shocks me, like maybe someone will come onto the metro and they'll be singing and super loud, and it happens more than you would think. And like the Spanish people, they just completely ignore like the person or whatever. But for me, I'm just sitting there like in absolute awe, like, wow, what is this guy doing, being so loud and so out there in a public space? You know, whether he's drunk or just super happy, I don't know.
Do you speak Spanish?
Okay. Un poco. Yo entiendo mucho, pero hablo muy poco.
Actually, I have a really big problem with the comfort zone here in Germany. I mean, I hate getting into routines and comfort zones, and this is like the main goal in life for Germans, is to stay in their comfort zone. And when we sort of clash, and basically my goal is to like push them outside of this comfort zone, because this is usually affecting me, because they're slowing me down in some way or something like that, and this pisses them off and turns around to bite me, you know where.
Right. Well, so the reason I asked Cameron about you feeling like you're in a routine, or feeling like, or you know, when you speak, if you speak Spanish, is just like, I mean, I go to the same office 5 days a week with the same people. You know, everyone speaks English. But then for me, it's the walking to the store, or you know, on the weekends when I hop in the car and drive to a different city and spend a weekend just by myself. And you know, there are people around me that speak English, but I don't know who does and who doesn't. And I am kind of stand out, especially when I walk around talking to a camera. And so it just like puts me into this uncomfortable, like pushes me out of my comfort zone. And like even on the routine, the day to day, like I walked into the post office today to pick up a package that I had. Well, it was a different woman that's normally handing out the packages, and so I had to explain in broken Albanian and a little bit of English who I was, and like, this is like, here's my package. No, I don't have my passport with me. Can you please let me just take it without proving to you who I am, sort of thing. Because usually the woman knows me and she just hands it to me and I sign for it and we're done. Or going to the store, like again today, I went to the store to find batteries, and I looked all around the store and I couldn't find them, and I had to ask the woman, and she kept them behind the counter or whatever. And it's just like these little things that like get me, and maybe my comfort zone in general is just too small, but trying to communicate with people that we have a pretty severe language barrier, even though we can, you know, the two of us can understand the other person's language enough that we can kind of get around it, is enough.
I can totally relate to this with German. I didn't speak any German when I came here, and it was crazy. This is actually one of my points, is learning a new language. But the best way to learn a language is actually to go and live in that country.
It's true. But this like pushes me out of my daily routine of comfort. Now, obviously, I look for that even more when I, you know, hop in the car and drive 4 hours to go paragliding with someone I've never met, or to go and explore a new city with someone that messaged me on Instagram or something like that. Like, I do that relatively often. But even just in finding ways to seek discomfort in day-to-day, normally mundane, routine activities has has helped me in being able to like just kind of expand and broaden my comfort zone. Yeah.
Great. Do you think it's like you're saying, like sometimes it like you feel your comfort zone's a little bit too small, maybe you don't feel comfortable asking the person where the batteries are. Do you feel that after you've done that though, after you've had, even if it wasn't perfect, even if it was just like like very broken, but the result was still the same, you still managed to get the batteries, you still got your parcel, that communication with the other person that doesn't speak the native tongue of you, and you still manage to connect there, like even for me, I know they think I'm speaking like a 3-year-old, but they understand what I'm saying when I speak Spanish. But even just like when I get what I want after speaking to them, even broken, it's like it's really
the sense of accomplishment is overwhelming. You're just like so excited. I remember the first time I was able to like fully convey that I didn't speak Albanian to someone, but like in Albanian. He asked me a question and I was like, "Oh, sorry, I don't speak Albanian." And he understood what I was saying and then just asked me in English. And I felt so happy that I was able to tell this guy in his language that I don't speak his language.
But actually, I can remember my first interview in German, completely in German. I was like so psyched after that. I spent like 40 minutes talking on the phone in German. And I closed and I was like, I don't care if I get a job. I spent 40 minutes on the phone in German.
Yeah, that's amazing. The other thing is, I don't know how it is in Spain, but here, just me saying like 3 words in Albanian make the Albanians, most of them, so happy. So when I went paragliding the other day, I went and met the guy and I greeted the pilot. I greeted him in Albanian and he like looked shocked and he asked me a question again in Albanian and I responded and he started laughing. He was so excited that I was actually like able to communicate. And I said, I only like that's where I stopped. And I was like in English. I was like, that's all I know. I only speak a little bit. And he goes, that's fine though. Like you're speaking our language and that. And that means a lot to them, especially coming from someone. I mean, so many people ask me, why do you want to know Albanian? Because you already speak English, and all the Albanians are trying to learn English or German so that they can go abroad. And I'm like, well, because I live here, so I want to know the language here. I don't want to wander around assuming everyone's going to speak English and be able to talk to me. And so even the smallest, like speaking like a 3-year-old is, and a lot of them get excited enough that they don't care if I'm saying the wrong thing. They're just happy that I'm trying to speak.
Yeah, what I found out the best thing about speaking other languages is when you actually need to communicate, no matter what's happening. Like you need to go to a doctor, and that doctor specifically doesn't speak English. It's better for you to at least know how to explain what the hell is wrong with you.
Right.
Yeah. How many languages do you speak, Martin? Just out of curiosity. 'Cause obviously, English isn't your native tongue.
Yeah, but I do consider English like a second mother tongue for me because I grew up with English, so I don't think at all when I'm speaking. I don't know a single rule. I mean, I studied those in school, but right now, if you ask me something from the rules, I don't remember anything. I just speak freely as I do in Bulgarian. So I do speak a little bit of German, like I have B1 level.
Well, you had a 40-minute interview in German. Yeah, I hope you speak a little.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working in German also the past months. So.
Right.
But compared to my English, it's a little bit.
Yeah, fair.
A little bit of Russian, a little bit of Serbian, Macedonian, like all the close languages to Bulgarian, and a little bit of Spanish. I did learn Greek, and I just know how to read in Greek, nothing more.
It's a lot more than I can do. And Martin, with your such broad knowledge of languages, maybe you know a little bit more than me and James in the terms of learning languages. Do you feel that it is something that you get excited about, like when me and James are talking about like the little victories? Do you agree with that, and have you found that in like most of the languages that you've spoken or you speak?
What exactly are you talking about? I mean, because James was talking about like just saying hello or I don't speak that language.
Well, when you're able to accurately convey or ask for something, or and you walk away from the interaction with the other person understanding what you're talking about.
So I've had this experience with Spanish and German only, and to be fair, both languages I picked up in the countries when I was there. So definitely, for example, with Spanish, it was a big win for me, and I felt really great when I started like saying small things, because the first 2 months I had to carry all my groceries by hand to my apartment, because they kept the bags behind the counter, and I didn't know how to ask for a bag.
Really? I found the opposite here. They refused not to give me a bag. I'm like, no bossa, no bag, no bag, because it's all plastic and I don't want to use it. And they're like, are you sure? It's a bag. How are you going to take it home?
Yeah, I
That-
always bring my own bags to the store, and they all they pull out a new one to put in. I'm like, no, I have like 10 in here. Let's use these ones. And they're like, okay, why? Like, we have plenty.
Yeah, maybe it's because I was in the north of Spain. It was a bit different. I also have a little bit different experience when talking with natives here in Germany, for example, because a lot of people think I am German until I open my mouth.
Well, yeah, people will come up to me and start speaking Albanian, and I just look at them and I say, I'm from America. And they're like, never mind.
Yeah, the problem is that like I get two types of reactions. So the most common is like they're actually pissed and annoyed because they thought I was German and I'm not, and it's like goddamn foreigners. And the second one is like after they learn that I've been learning the language only for a year and a half or something like that. It was like, oh, you actually speak pretty well. It's the fact that there are actually people in Germany that have been here like 10, 15 years and never learned even this amount of German.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. But I definitely think language, it kind of evolved from the topic to language being a driving force to be an expat. I definitely agree.
There is one language in this world which
are.
I will never learn no matter what happens. That's French.
Uh-huh.
I always said my biggest problem with English and German is French.
Okay.
There's so many words.
I think
From
we can talk about language a different day for sure.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
even now we've spent a lot of time. I'm sure we can come back to this and like just go into all sorts of stuff. Yeah, of course.
Talk more. All right. I think we can go into a little bit of rapid fire reasons why people should be an expat. I've got one. Like, just first thing that comes to your mind, just say it. We won't discuss it. Let's just push them out, and then because we're getting close to the end of the episode, let's just go. I got one. Personal reasons like love. I moved here for my girlfriends. James, go.
I honestly have used up all of mine. I mean,
Okay.
I guess love, but like of a
Yourself.
country, or the
country, I'll
beauty,
take
like gosh, this is not rapid fire, and I just completely lost the word that I was trying to say. Like the nature, like the
We'll
like
come
the
back to
nature.
it, Martin.
Yeah,
Oh, the
landscaping.
nature.
Yeah,
The love of the
sure.
nature.
Yeah.
I put you on the spot there. I do apologise. Martin, go.
Okay, I will add, for example, a better general system in another country, like healthcare and everything is better systemized.
Yes, healthcare, education.
Education, yeah.
There was one last one I had. And it was maybe it's a little bit cheaper. Maybe you earn a bit more money.
Yeah, money is definitely something that'll could work either way.
Yeah, definitely.
You could move somewhere so that you can make more money, or you can move somewhere so that you don't have to spend as much if you're already making enough. Location independently.
Yes.
Well, usually the best approach is to grow like a business or something in a country that provides higher income, and then directly move to a country that has low expenses and just get this high income there.
Yep. Or you do 3 or 4
Very.
different things that get mediocre income, and then live in a country where the
Yeah,
cost of
I'm
living
just
is lower.
I'm just talking like in general.
No, yeah, I know.
And the amount
Exactly.
to be enough.
Right, of course.
Very, very good indeed. So I think to encapsulate everything, we discussed a lot about adventure. Ooh.
Yeah, I guess if there's the one reason to
Expanding.
move to be an expat, adventure.
Yeah.
So you see, that's why I said it at the beginning. I was giving the overarching theme
Well, you
before
say
we dove in.
it. You
I
say it at the
swear.
beginning, and then people don't have to listen to the rest of the episode.
Oh, no, because they'll be like, that's so broad. I wonder how they're going to split this out into small little topics.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I thought
Wow,
about it.
dude, you're way
I
more
swear.
prepared for this than I was expecting.
understanding
Nice work.
German healthcare is a total adventure.
Oh yes, and the Spanish bureaucracy with paperwork is another there. But I think we can talk about reasons why we won't want to become an expat in maybe next week's episode. I don't know. What about the guys at home that are listening there? I don't know. Let us know why you want to become an expat. Like, is there something inside of you that's like pulling you to another country? I don't know. Or maybe you are maybe already in another country. What made you move there? I don't know. Let us know. Where can they message us? We got an email.
We do have an
address
email
now.
address.
We do, and it is theexpatshow@mail.com. That's theexpatshow@mail.com. Let us know there why you became an expat or why you want to become an expat, and we will either email you back or maybe we'll bring it up in a future episode. Have to email us and
Also
find
include
out.
some questions for us if you're interested in something.
Oh, for sure. Do leave us any questions on anything really about being an expat. Anything, just let us know.
Yeah. Basically, you can hit us up everywhere. Comment sections, our personal social media accounts or whatever. We're gonna gather up something. I guess at some point we're gonna make a Q&A episode directly.
Yes, and maybe in the future as well, we can do some little live streams with you guys back at home listening
Just,
as well.
Just don't come to
yeah.
my house.
Because anyone,
That's if they can.
Does anyone
I
already
just
catch
told them
your
where
house?
it was. No, I live hidden enough, and I'm very, very careful with when I tell people where I like in what area I live. I got more specific on this podcast than I ever do in person.
yeah, you should be.
There you are. If you want to go find James, good luck getting to him with those roads all falling apart with the rain and the sands and.
Go
good luck with that
Albania.
one, guys. But go Spain. Right.
I'm not gonna say anything
So
about
very
Germany
good.
because it's actually forbidden here.
Oof, ooh. Very good. Any closing words anyone wants to pass on?
Nope.
I mean, I'm
That
gonna
was epic.
close it off on never. if you wanna be an expat, just do it. I mean, what have you got to lose? You can always move back to your home country. Hopefully, maybe.
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, hopefully, maybe. But yeah, move. If you want to do it, just do it.
Just in case,
Just
look for
see-
a country
see
with a
where-
nice social system in case you cannot afford to go back.
And if for some reason you can't go back to your home country, send us an email and let us know why, because that sounds like an interesting story.
Yeah, and we want to hear it. That email address again is theexpatshow@mail.com. Yes, my name has been Cameron Clark. Sign yourself off, James and Martin.
I'm James.
Oh, what was I doing the last couple of episodes? I was I had a little.
Ciao for
catchphrase.
now. Adios,
Ciao for
amigos.
Adios, amigos. Hasta pronto, tus tontos caballos.
What he
James,
said. I agree.
Do you know how to say goodbye in Albanian?
I do, but I feel weird speaking Albanian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna feel weird saying it in German as
Go
well,
on.
but we can use that like.
I'm also the one editing this podcast that probably about the last 4 minutes have been cut already.
Yeah, I know. I already got that feeling. Like, do you have any last words?
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah.
Yeah, right there. Or just like have it just silent.
Yeah.
Fades out.
You can add some cricket.
Ciao for now.
Yeah.